back-to-back wins for the Rangers. Things were not looking good after the loss to the Devils, and it dropped them to 4-7-3. Really one of their worst efforts of the year, and they have since responded with wins at Philly and at Washington. And my feeling on both games are different, but the same result. So Artemi Panarin returns, and that makes such a huge impact on this team. Not much of a surprise, but really the guy is crucial for the success of this team. So he comes back against Philly, and Keandre Miller would still not play at that point. So Jacob Trouba out 4 to 6 weeks. So that's a big loss, and it's really not a situation where one player can replace him. It's going to have to be a group effort, and so far so good. But he will be out for a while, and I kind of suspected that might be the case based on the way that David Quinn was speaking after the Devil game, and Jack Johnson would replace Trouba because Miller was still out, and he played the least of the 6 defensemen on Thursday against Philly, but he did good enough. He took an early penalty. But Alex Georgiev was in net for that game, and right away, Philly scores. A minute in, goal mouth scramble, and the goal, I think, was credited to Nick Aube-Kubel. Might have went off of Adam Fox and in, so you're thinking, all right, here we go again. Here we go again, down 1-0. And mind you, Philly was without 6 regulars, 5 forwards and 1 defenseman. And these players included Claude Giroux, Jake Voracek, Scott Lawton, Oscar Lindblom, Travis Konechny, and Justin Braun. So, huge. The fact that those players are out. I think if you were a Flyer fan, you're going into that game thinking if we can just get a point, we'll take it. Even though the Ranger roster really wasn't looking too great that night, although, again, Panarin coming back is big. And, really kind of a lackluster first period for the Rangers. Not much to speak of, but they would tie it in the second on a power play goal by Colin Blackwell. Colin Blackwell continues to step in and provide points and has been a very effective player for this team. And now he's starting to get third-line minutes. He's definitely, you could tell that David Quinn trusts him. So it was a shot by Buchnevich. It was actually an assist by Boteto, who got some power play time due to the injuries, specifically to Trouba. So Blackwell ties it at 1, and it's tie going into the third, and Brendan Smith would actually make it 2-1 on a beautiful pass from Panarin. Smith was wide open in front and buried it to make it a 2-1 game. So to that point, I think as a fan, you're definitely thinking, well, when are they going to blow it? And Georgiev definitely had a very good game. He really did. I think the shots were a little bit misleading, and again, I can't help but think this Philly team was really decimated. The Rangers should have won easily. Well, Joel Farabee ties it up with a little over a minute to go. Another one of those kind of goal mouth scrambly play near the net, and he pokes it in to tie it at 2. And you're thinking, oh, here we go again. Here's another blown lead that they're going to lose. And in this game, Mika Zibanejad was horrendous. Horrendous. And that would continue into the Washington game, but specifically the Philadelphia game, dropping his stick, not breaking his stick, one-timers, just shanking them, just awful play for Zibanejad. And at this point, Zibanejad had lost some power play time in the second period. He wasn't being used as much, but he still, he wasn't really losing shifts, but except for the power play time in the second period. So, and Chris Kreider also was basically a no-show in that game. So, like I said, Philly ties it up at 2, and it goes to overtime. And Kaapo Kakko, really great work, throws it past to Buchnevich, who draws a penalty. Nolan Patrick takes him down. Now, Buchnevich actually had a penalty shot earlier in the game and did not convert. Not a great attempt for Buchnevich. And he would not score against Carter Hart. So the Rangers have a 4-on-3, and they do not score. In overtime, 4-on-3, Zibanejad was really, really bad on this power play specifically. And Panarin all game long was taking shots. I mean, he really didn't look any worse for wear coming off that injury. I think he had like 16 shot attempts, maybe 8 shots on goal or so, really was firing on all cylinders. And Panarin, I think he hit the post, a time or two. He was all over the place. But this goes to a shootout. In Philly. The home team, for whatever the reason, the home team likes to go first, I notice. And if it were me, I'd take last licks. So the Rangers, in effect, have last licks. And the first shooter for Philly was Kevin Hayes. Kevin Hayes, who I know in his Ranger time, like, really not a great shootout guy, and he kind of did what I expected. He really didn't take a shot. He kind of just went in, tried to deke, and Georgiev just kind of smothered it. And so Quinn decides to go with Kakko, which I think was a good decision. Kakko had some success last year in the shootout. Not a big sample size. But his reasoning, he said after the game, was, if Philly had scored, I guess he wouldn't have gone with Kakko because he didn't want to put pressure on him to be the third shooter. So Kakko goes and scores. And then Philly comes back and scores. Couturier on a really nice move. But then Panarin scores, and he's 16 for 25 all time in the shootout. That's the best among shooters that have at least 25 attempts. 64%. Unbelievable. And then the last shooter would be James Van Riemsdyk, and Georgiev would make the save, and the Rangers, not in a pretty way, win 3-2 against the Flyers in Philly. And I'm coming out of that game really not impressed at all, actually. Really, a Panarin-led win. Georgiev played well, but they blew another lead late, and the power play did score a goal, but Zibanejad continues his bad play, and so I wasn't really impressed by that win. Just wasn't. Rangers win that game and prove their record at that point to 5-7-3 at Washington. And Washington's coming off a win against Buffalo. They've been playing okay. They had also won, I guess, their game before against Pittsburgh. So they're coming in on a 2-game winning streak. And Vitek Vanacek starts again. And I think we can expect Ilya Samsonov to start tomorrow night against the Devils. But Vanacek starts. Shesterkin's back in. Keandre Miller is back in, taking Jack Johnson's spot. But also Kaapo Kakko is placed on the COVID list. So he had been placed on the COVID list earlier in the year, and he was only out for 1 game. But this one sounds like he might have tested positive. They don't disclose that information. I wouldn't be surprised if he might be out, but we'll see. Rangers don't play again until Wednesday. Gauthier comes back in the lineup. Gauthier had been taken out of the lineup when Panarin came back in for the Flyer game. So the Rangers, a bit of a sleepy start for both teams, 12:30 start. And the Rangers really didn't have many shots on goal, but eventually they would get a few power plays, and they would convert. And they finally took a shot. Panarin takes the feed from Strome, but Panarin shoots it. Kreider bangs in a rebound. That's how you got to do it. Because the first power play they had, they were passing around the perimeter, and they weren't really getting... when you do that, obviously you have no chance. So good to see that they, changed... Again, really the bread man by himself. And Kreider buries the rebound. They take a 1-0 lead. And really just defensively, this game and just in general this season, major improvement. Obviously that rough game against the Devils, they just really didn't show up that game. But for the most part this year, it's a lot better. And the personnel on the defense, the 6 defensemen, it's nothing crazy too. So you have Adam Fox playing like 25 minutes a night. I can't say enough about him. He's been great. And Ryan Lindgren as well. Lindgren and Fox have been like the top pair who plays 20 to 25 minutes a night and have been doing a good job. And then the other 4 defensemen, you have a rookie in Keandre Miller, a rookie defenseman who had just been injured, Brendan Smith, who has stepped up a bit, and he's been in and out of the lineup. And then your third pair is Anthony Bitetto and Libor Hayek. So again, these are not, I think obviously, no Trouba, no D'Angelo, and, Mark Stahl is gone. But still, this defense has been better this year. And I think Jacques Martin deserves credit, and they did a great job today. So the Rangers were up 1-0, and later in the second period, Alexis Lafreniere gets on the score sheet with the goal on a great pass from Panarin. Lafreniere, somewhat similar to Smith the game before, just standing in front for a while. And Panarin found him. Lafreniere makes a little move and scores. And it's good to see him get that goal. Good to see him get rewarded. And maybe this can get him going. Kakko's out now. So I think, more eyes are shifted to what, Lafreniere can do. And what was key in this game, what I need to get to, was that they switched up the lines, and it was overdue. Very overdue, where Quinn put Zibanejad with Panarin, because it had always been, for the most part, Kreider with Zibanejad and Buchnevich, and then it was always Strome with Panarin. But they decided to change that, and Strome actually played very well without Panarin. Strome would score to make it 3-0. Strome played with Kreider and Buchnevich. That was a very effective line. And so Strome scores. He had a goal and an assist. His play has been picking up, and it makes it 3-0. The Capitals would score late in the second. Dmitry Orlov, again, Zibanejad was at fault for this goal. Turns it over. Not a great goal by Shesterkin. The only goal he would allow, but he probably could have stopped it. But Zibanejad really, again, even though Lafreniere scored from Panarin, Mika had nothing to do with that goal. So still very concerned about him. And when they made it 3-1, you're thinking, well, that's not a great sign to give up a goal late in the second. But the Rangers defensively would hold up. They would. And I think you're seeing a lot of contributions. And another good switch by Quinn is now DiGiuseppe, Rooney, and Blackwell is the third line. That is the third line now, especially based on the minutes today. And Lemieux, Howden, and Gauthier is the fourth line. So Rooney being elevated for Howden, I think that has paid dividends. I mean, just Rooney's been playing better, plain and simple. And like I said, Blackwell is contributing. DiGiuseppe's a hard worker. Don't get it twisted. That bottom six, as the way it is now, especially, with some injuries, Philip Hedl and then Kakko being out, not going to score many goals, but got to give the bottom six credit. And like I said, the depth is really not hurting them. To me, the biggest issue has been Zibanejad more than anyone. Kreider as well, though Kreider gets on the board today. It's really those two that come to mind, and just not getting that timely scoring. But today, Zibanejad gets an empty net goal. And the Rangers win 4-1. And Zibanejad, he has 4 points this year, 2 goals, 2 assists. 2 of the points are via empty net. So, nothing to write home about for him, but not going to complain. This one today was an impressive win for the Rangers. Whereas the Philly game, really, I was almost glad I wasn't coming on, because it's like, yeah, they won, but great. This now, back-to-back wins against 2 of the better teams in the division. They're now 2-0 against Washington. And hopefully they can, pick this up and keep it going. So the next game is, they're going back to Philly, and the Flyers will be coming off their game at Lake Tahoe against Boston. So I assume that the Flyers at that point will probably get most of those players that were out for COVID. So it should be a better lineup for Philly. But it'll be interesting to see, how they play coming back from the trip. And how, but they will have a few days to rest. But I'm kind of unsure on how that goes. I tend to think that I'll give Philly the edge there, just based on the fact that the game was so close against them when they had nobody. Got to think that they're going to do better on Wednesday. But look, the Rangers needed these wins, and they got them, because this was ready to kind of spiral out of control. And the Rangers, they have responded when they need to. I'll certainly give them that. Especially the last couple of years when their backs are against the wall, they can surprise. And they've been playing pretty steady hockey all year, except for a couple of really bad performances. But you look at their goal differential. I mean, technically, from a wins-loss angle, they're 6-10. But I believe their goal differential might be -2. They've really been playing close games, and they've just been on the wrong end of it. And the goaltending is Shesterkin and Georgiev have really, for the most part, improved as we've moved along here. And I like some of these line changes. It's unfortunate that Kakko might be out. He was really one of been one of their better players, so hopefully he won't be out too long. But, you know, it's good to see Jack Johnson stapled to the bench where he should be. And that's with guys like he's stapled to the bench, and you have guys like Brendan Smith, Bitetto, and Hayek in the lineup as well. It just goes to show how far down he is on the depth chart. But, yeah, I mean, no complaints here. And it just goes to show you it is a long season. Only 56 games this year, but things can change very quickly. So I still think that it's going to be tough sledding for this team, but they're definitely, when they work hard and when Panarin's in the lineup, they have a shot almost every night in what has become a very close and tight division. So looking forward to the game at Philly on Wednesday, and I'll talk to you then.